If you manage a network, you know that the threat landscape is changing, so you need multiple layers of security. If you have production servers in AWS, then you might want to look at GuardDuty with malware protection. In this video, we'll look at what is GuardDuty and how does it work. Next, we'll look at what the requirements are to run GuardDuty with malware protection. And then we'll enable GuardDuty with malware protection. We'll then demonstrate how GuardDuty works using AWS Cloudformation as a demo environment. So what is GuardDuty and how does it work? GuardDuty uses process data from logs like CloudTrail, EKS audit logs, and VPC flow logs to search through looking for malicious IP addresses and domains. Then it uses threat intelligence to identify malware activity like escalation of privileges, exposed credentials, and then communication with malicious IP addresses and domains. With malware protection, GuardDuty allows for scanning EC2 instances and containers after the suspicious activity has been detected. And it does not require an agent, as it is only monitoring and scanning snapshots of EC2 instances. Okay, let's see how AWS GuardDuty with malware protection works. First, you have to enable it per region. So once you've enabled it, then it starts scanning your EC2 instances, EBS volumes. If it detects malware, it takes a snapshot of the volume, so performance is not impacted on that EC2 instance or container. Once the snapshot's been scanned, then the findings will come up on the GuardDuty portal. After you've looked at the findings, you can drill down even farther by using other AWS tools like Detective, Security Hub, or EventBridge. Okay, so what are the requirements to enable GuardDuty with malware protection? First, of course, you have to have an AWS account. And then, like I mentioned earlier, you have to enable GuardDuty, and it's per region. Once you've enabled GuardDuty, the malware protection is enabled by default. If you've already had GuardDuty enabled previously, you'll have to check off the box for enabling malware protection. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First, let's log into the portal. If you don't already have an AWS account, you can click here. Okay, now that we've signed in, we need to choose which region we want to enable this service. So I'm going to choose Virginia East 1, and let's just look up the service here. Okay. All right, so I don't have it enabled in this region, so just click on Get Started here. You can actually use it for free for 30 days. Okay, we're going to say Enable GuardDuty. And then you'll notice on the left-hand side over here it says Malware Protection. And it's already enabled, so we're already set. Now it's ready to go. Okay, now that we have GuardDuty enabled, we want to populate this findings area to see what it looks like when it does find malware. And the best way I found to create that is by using AWS has created a template for GuardDuty that allows you to create a demo environment that will simulate malware, and it will fill up that findings area so we can actually see what those findings look like. So what we need to do is we'll go to this repository that AWS has created. In this Cloudformation template, we're going to copy this and upload this template, and it'll create the instances that we need. So I've already actually copied this, so I'm going to go back to GuardDuty, and we're going to go to Cloudformation. All right, so we're going to create a stack using that template that I downloaded. Template is ready. We're going to upload the template. Let's see here, choose the file. And here's the template file that I copied. Okay, so I'm just going to hit next here. And we need to give it a name, so let's call it GuardDuty Demo. All right, availability zone. You can leave this if you want to. I'm just going to choose the first one. And then it also requires a key pair. So I've already created one, but in order to create one, you just go back to, if you do a search, I mean, I already have it pulled up, but you can search key pairs. And it's under EC2 instances, but it's a feature under there. So let's just open that. It's going to bring us back to the same screen here so you can see what it looks like. All right, I've already got this one created, but I'll just walk through the steps on how to create a key. It's pretty simple. Just use the create key pair button. You want it to be a PEM file, and then just give it a name. Create the key pair. So I have here's the one we just created. So if I go back to Cloudformation, that one's not going to be available because I'm right in the middle of creating the stack, but that's how you create the key pair. So let's go ahead and select the one I created earlier. And I'm going to leave everything else the same here. The availability zone, I chose that. You can leave that blank if you want to. So I'm going to click on Next here. And there's all these advanced options here. I don't have a stack policy. I'm going to leave that the same. I don't care about notifications. And termination protection is disabled. That's fine. And then I'm going to hit acknowledge, otherwise it's not going to let me create the stack. This allows Cloudformation to create the IAM resources it needs, basically needs rights to create those instances. So I'm going to create stack. And you'll see it's in progress right now. So I want to go back over to this repository here. This repo was created by AWS. I just downloaded the template, but if you want to get deeper into how Cloudformation works, I would highly recommend cloning this repository and then just looking through the templates and other configuration files to see how it works. Okay, so we're still creating. I'm going to pause the video until this has been created. Okay, our stack has been created, our GuardDuty demo stack. So if we open this up and we go to resources, you'll see everything that it created here. And it created a lot of stuff. This took about 10-15 minutes to create. So let's go into EC2 and look at the instances it created. So you'll see it created 4 instances here. The one we'll be connecting to is this Linux Bastion host. Okay, now I'm going to SSH into this Linux Bastion. There's some additional setup for this, so I'm going to include that in the description below. All right, so I need the IP address. Make sure there's a setting correct on here. Okay, so now I need this checked right here. Allow agent forwarding. Go back over here and I'm going to save these settings. Let's open this up. And the default user is EC2 user. Now that setting back there, the reason why I had to do that was because SSH into the Linux Bastion, but I need to SSH into the red team server from here, and I don't want to upload the keys every time, so this allows me to bypass that. So I'm going to SSH now from the Linux Bastion into the red team, so let me do that now. Okay, SH EC2 user, and then I'm going to put in this IP here. Hopefully it works. And I got in. Okay, so I'm in here now. Now there's a command that I need to run to simulate this malware. All right, so let's go ahead and run the command. Get this thing going here. GuardDuty tester sh. All right, so this is going to start running some simulated malware. So this is going to run for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and then we'll go back and see what it did. All right, so the script finished running. Let's go back and see what it did here. All right, here's the beginning of it right here, and then here you can see where it's doing some port scanning using Nmap. That was the first test. Second test is SSH brute force with compromised keys. There's that test. And then they did RDP brute force with password list. So it ran that one there. Fourth test, cryptocurrency mining activity. And DNS exfiltration. Let's see what else it did here. It did tried to do a fake domain to prove that GuardDuty is working here. Okay. Looks like that was it. Okay. So the test ran. Let's see what we get back on the GuardDuty page now. Here's the first one. This one down here is something that I created earlier, so that one's pretty old. But we'll let this run for a little bit while it's doing the scan, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, after leaving the GuardDuty portal open overnight, you can see now that there are a bunch of findings in here. So if we click on one, let's click on this one here. So it gives you some detailed information about the severity, what region it's in, what type of threat it is. And then if you want to drill down even further, you can click here using detective. I'm not set up with detective in this region, so I'm not going to click on this, but here are the options that you have here. Look it up by IP address, EC2 instance, AWS account, and then the actual GuardDuty findings that we saw here. All right, so that's how you simulate malware findings in GuardDuty. Now let's go back. What I didn't do before was go back and look at some of these other settings in here. So let me go back over here. So you have an option to actually send this to the findings to an S3 bucket. Right now it just goes to CloudWatch events as a default. You can also change this interval too, down to 15 minutes if you wanted to. And then there's this, you can also generate sample findings. The problem with doing this, it shows every single one of them, and it's a ton of them. I'm going to go ahead and click this so you can see what it looks like. There'll be a sample next to the malware type. See how there's a whole bunch here, pages of them. Still going on. Okay, so that's the sample findings that you can see there. That's a good way to find out also if your notification setup is working properly by using that sample findings. And then down at the bottom here, you can also suspend or disable GuardDuty. You can also associate this with different AWS accounts. It's going with my default one, so I don't have any added accounts on here. And then Malware Protection, we already have that enabled. Now there's this option down here for snapshot retention. The default for this snapshot retention is to take a snapshot, scan it for malware, and then delete the snapshot. But you have this option here to retain the snapshot for later for further investigation. Of course, when you do that, you'll be paying more for storage. And then there's a scan options here. Let's say there's maybe some instances you don't want to have scanned for malware. You can add tags to those for those instances so it doesn't scan those. All right, so that was GuardDuty with Malware Protection. Now in this video, we set up a demo environment. Before that, we enabled Malware Protection within GuardDuty. And remember that GuardDuty is by region only. You can't enable it globally. So after we enabled Malware Protection in GuardDuty, then we created a environment using the AWS Cloudformation template. And then we tested it. We went to the GuardDuty findings and saw what the results were. Now, one last thing we need to do is get rid of everything that Cloudformation created. So we're going to go back into Cloudformation. And we need to delete the stack. So it deletes everything that it created during the environment that it created, the demo environment. So let's hit delete here. Yes, we're going to delete the stack. Delete in progress. This will take a while here. Let's go back and look at EC2 instances and see if it shows those as being terminated. Now I shut these instances down last night so they wouldn't be running overnight. But let's see if it's actually terminating them. All right, so you can see that the first one's being terminated here. So it looks like that stack is getting rid of all those EC2 instances and everything else it created. In this video, we went over GuardDuty with Malware Protection. I hope it was helpful. If it was, I would appreciate it if you would click on the like below and subscribe. And if you have any ideas on future videos, especially with AWS, please put those in the comments. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.